Today we're going to start on page 24 in your packet. Pause your screen, look at your formula sheet, and copy down the different formulas that you need. Alright, so make sure you got these formulas copied down. So length times width for rectangle, that's the long side, times the width, the short side. Side squared for a square, just multiply the two sides together. Perimeter is 2L plus 2W for a rectangle, 2 times length, 2 times width. Add them together. Perimeter of a square, 4 times the side. And then finally, area of a triangle, 1/2. You can make that 0.5 if you want, times the base, so times the bottom, times the height. So let's find the perimeter of this rectangle here. So it's 2 times L plus 2 times W. So L is the long, so L will be 10 in this example. 2 times 10 plus 2 times 5. It's 20 plus 10, so you get 30 centimeters. So you need to make sure that you show all the work that's here for this problem. Go ahead and pause your screen and try these 3 problems to say your turn. Alright, so go ahead and check yourself. So for number 1, 2L, 228 plus 2W, which is 8. That gives you 56 and 16, which is 72. For number 2, I kind of used a shortcut here. I said 11.7 times 2 plus 9.4 times 2 plus 2.3 times 8. Then I added everything up and got 60.6. But you also could just add up all the sides. Keep in mind, these lines right here mean that those sides are congruent. Number 3, P equals 4 times S. It's a square. So that's 4 times 14, which is 56. Alright, page 26, let's try this example. So L is 10, W is 5. So area of a rectangle is length times the width. So that's going to be 10 times 5, and you get 50 centimeters squared. So don't forget to square area. Write this down. Squarea area. Numbers 1 and 3 are the same. Here's a hint for number 2. Take this triangle right here and cut that off and move it over here. Make it a rectangle. Then multiply the length, which would be 42, times the width, which would be 15. So give those 3 a try. Alright, go ahead and check yourselves on 1, 2, and 3. If you miss something, please make sure that you correct it and then move on to the next page. Let's move on to triangles now, page 27. So area is 1/2 base times the height. If you want to make that 0.5, that's okay. So 0.5 times the base of 4 times the height of 5. So that gives you 2 times 5, which is 10 feet squared. So go ahead and try numbers 1, 2, and 3. Notice on number 3 I drew an arrow for this 16 because that represents the height in this example. So check yourself on page 27. If you missed something, make sure you correct it. If you got everything right, go ahead and move on to the next page. So on page 28, use your formula sheet once again and make sure that you get everything filled out. If you notice, the radius of a circle, which is also shown right here, is halfway through the circle. The diameter here goes all the way through the circle. So basically, the radius is equal to the diameter divided by 2. In other words, the radius is half the diameter. For circumference, you can use 2. For pi, we use 3.14 times the radius. If they give you a diameter, you can just say pi 3.14 times the diameter. For area of a circle, pi times radius squared. 3.14 times the radius times the radius. So let's try this example together. So we're on page 29. So circumference. We have a radius here because it goes only halfway through the circle. So the formula for that is 2 pi r. So 2 times pi, so we use 3.14 times the radius, which is 6. So you multiply that together and you get 2 times 3.14 times 6, which is 37.68 centimeters. We don't square it because circumference is like the perimeter of a circle. It's just that outside part. So just the outside of this circle here. Go ahead and try numbers 1 and 2. Be sure for number 1 that you either half that, make it into a radius, or you use pi times diameter. Alright, go ahead and check yourself. So if you notice, I used pi times diameter, so 3.14 times 12.6 for number 1. If you missed something, correct it. If not, move on to the next page. Alright, so now we move into area, so that's pi times the radius squared. So 3.14 times 6 times 6. Because when you square a number, remember that means you multiply it twice. So you get 113.04 centimeters squared. Don't forget area, square area. For this first example, let's make that into a radius for the formula. So we get 6.3. Now go ahead and pause your screen and try numbers 1 and 2. Let's go ahead and check yourself on numbers 1 and 2. If you missed something, fix it. If not, move on. So on numbers 1 through 4, you just have to say if it's going to be area or perimeter. So number 1, a football field is rectangular in shape with a length of 120 yards and a width of 54. What is the distance around the football field? That's a clue for perimeter. I'll let you do numbers 2, 3, and 4 for homework. Look at number 8. Miss Mulchaney is baking a cake for Miss Dennis. The cake has a radius of 6.7 inches. How big will the cake plate she sets it on have to be? So we'll use area for this. That's pi r squared. So 3.14 times 6.7 times 6.7. And that gave me 140.95 inches squared. Move on to the next page. Alright, so on page 32, number 9 says find the area of the circle. So look, the diameter here is 12, so the radius would be half of that, so that would be equal to 6. Use your formula pi times the radius squared, so 3.14 times 6 times 6, and you get 113.04 meters squared. Perimeter, 2L plus 2W. The L is 24, W is 12, we get 72 meters. Number 11, here's a hint for you. This triangle is inside this rectangle. That means the height of the triangle has to be equal to 9. Number 12, we have a parallelogram. Two sides are 90, two sides of 100. To find the perimeter, add everything up. You get 380 feet. Number 15, I labeled the base and the height for you. Number 17 asks you for the perimeter of that polygon. There are 7 sides on it, so multiply 4.3 times 7, or you could add up 4.3 plus 4.3 plus 4.3 7 times for the final answer. Move on to the next page. So on number 19, on page 33, a couple different options. You can cut that triangle off, make it into a rectangle to find the area, or base times height will work also. So the base would be equal to 9. The height, not the slant height, but the actual height is 3.5. So 9 times 3.5. For perimeter, just add up all the sides. You could say 9 times 2 plus 4.8 times 2. Move on to the next page. Alright, so number 33. The original Ferris wheel introduced had a diameter of 250 feet. So we have a diameter of 250, which is closest to the distance a person who rode this wheel traveled in one complete revolution. If you think about it, when you're on the Ferris wheel, you go on the outside of that circle. So that's asking for the circumference. So use pi times the diameter to get the answer here.